Hello there. Perhaps one of the most beautiful and moving episodes in all the Gospels takes place in John chapter 8, when the Pharisees bring before Jesus a woman caught in adultery. And he says to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And he says to the woman, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more." Episode 16. P is for Pebble. The English word scruples comes from the Latin scrupulus, which means a pebble, originally a little stone that would be placed to tilt a scale just a tiny little bit, indicating a very sensitive measure. When we say that someone has scruples, it's to indicate that that person is very, very finely examining their conscience, which you'd think would be a good thing, but actually can go too far. Because if we are accusing ourselves of sin, then we are being accurate. This is what Jesus says to the Pharisees in John chapter 8, that no one is without sin. But if we take it to the finest degree where we can't really release ourselves psychologically from the sins we committed, then we're actually not trusting in God, because we know that He is merciful. We know that He wants to forgive us through the sacrament of penance, through prayer, through our reconciliation with Him in the church. That's why Jesus died and rose for us. We should take our sinfulness and our guilt seriously, but we should take God's mercy even more seriously, because we have been redeemed by the precious blood. When someone is scrupulous, then they go to confession and receive absolution, but come away really feeling that they need to go and confess it again and again and again. It's like having an inner Pharisee inside who throws those pebbles, throws those stones at us continually as a punishment. Perhaps all of us have to be aware of this inner Pharisee that reveals itself in Lent, constantly accusing us, but without allowing any light from God's mercy to penetrate the darkness. Even worse, of course, is when that Pharisee then turns himself outwards and starts throwing those stones at others. Pride then manifests itself in a second way. Rather than thinking that we are beyond God's mercy, we start to think others are as well. Jesus' mercy is not fake. He wanted to release us so much from the pain of sin and guilt that He undertook the pain of the cross. As the beautiful hymn of praise, the Exultet, which we hear at the Easter Vigil, proclaims, "O wonder of your humble care for us, O love, O charity beyond all telling, to ransom a slave you gave away your Son, O truly necessary sin of Adam, destroyed completely by the death of Christ." Throwing stones has no part in the Christian life at all. The story is really that of the power of grace to extinguish sin. The power of grace which was depicted by the water that flowed from the rock in the desert struck by Moses' staff. Christ is that rock, St. Paul tells us in the first letter to the Corinthians. Christ is the stone who becomes the head of the corner, not a weapon, but the foundation upon which eternal life is built. Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more.